good afternoon, everybody. We are starting off in a very sunny Kenya today over in Lantore with a troop of baboons that have decided to join us this afternoon. Thank goodness, because it's not such a sunny South Africa today. The rain is definitely hitting a lot of our locations at the moment, so glad that we have some entertainment with this troop of Chakma baboons. My name is Kiri Dupree, and I'll be joining you today as your naturalist presenter. With me on the director side, we have Mika. As I mentioned, the weather is rather miserable here in South Africa, so glad we have our baboons to keep us company again. Just a reminder that this is a live and interactive experience, so you can watch us on the app, or if you're watching on our website, you can also register and ask any questions, or you can use the QR code on screen now. If you're using Twitter or X, don't forget to use the hashtag. Join in the conversation with me today, folks. Send across those questions or any comments. This troop of baboons did brighten a lot of our days last week. They sure made my day. They were very entertaining to watch. So, yeah, very excited we have some baboons with us today. We'll keep looking at our other locations to see if we get any activity. Yesterday we had lots of elephant activity. I think with all the rain that's been around, we finally had a few sunny days, so the elephants were taking full advantage of all the sunshine. So we had a lot of elephant pool parties, a lot of elephants mud bathing at quite a few of our locations. But today looks like a bit of a rainy weather that is kind of sweeping across southern Africa. This is a nice big male baboon here. He seems to be enjoying his grooming session. Seems to be a little youngster, a sub-adult, grooming him from behind. And of course, isn't this cute little baby baboon playing with a stick? Does surely show that you can really get entertainment from anything. Whoop! Oh. Goodness gracious me. Sorry, if your kids are watching right now, I think this might be a PG moment. I thought it was a sub-adult, but turned to be a affectionate female, maybe looking for some attention. Joanne Mello, welcome, welcome. Thank you for everyone for sending your comments. Penelope Kenyon, thank you for joining us today live at the waterfall. And yeah, we're looking forward to showing you some of our favorite locations. Again, as I mentioned, it is rather rainy in South Africa, so some of our locations in Southern Africa, South Africa might be a little bit wet today, but we'll see what else is out there and what else we can find. Darcy Miller, thank you for joining. I'm glad you're also excited to watch our baboons. Yeah, baboons are always a lifesaver when you're on safari. Always give you a lot of entertainment with those little mischievous faces of theirs. They always get up to nonsense. They're so human-like, it's actually scary. Ari, good morning, and greetings. Thank you for watching from the Netherlands. It's a very far away location. I hope it's not too cold in the Netherlands at the moment, Ari. So thank you for joining us today. We've got some Chakma baboons here over in Kenya. So it is one of the more common baboon species in Africa. They do normally occur. Oh, seems to be a lot of love in the air today. These young ones, you can literally watch for hours. They're rather full of nonsense. So we got a pretty good question, Picasso. I think, thank you for all your questions. You've been asking some very in-depth, detailed questions, brain teasers. So Picasso had a question about these baboons today. If female baboons get stretch marks after birth. So no, baboons generally don't get stretch marks after birth. So they generally do not develop these stretch marks, and they're very resilient creatures. So they do tend to very quickly go lose all condition. So this looks like a young female that's probably going to get, looks like, oh, young male. Oh, yep, love surely is in the air. Please, folks, if your children are watching, just be careful. So a lot of baboon hanky panky going around. So, unlike humans, baboons are very resilient, and their skin is actually quite different in structure to us humans. So, baboon skin is has a very high elasticity level, so it's very well adapted to actually to a lot of physical changes, such as pregnancy and childbirth. So, their natural environment and evolution has actually helped them and adapted them to be able to avoid skin issues like us humans. So in other words, us humans are not very well evolved and adapted to living in a natural environment like these baboons are. So, no, female baboons do not get stretch marks. So, yeah, looks like lots of monkey business going on today. Probably a lot of pregnant females. You can see this female's got a very distended vulva, so she's definitely in season. Displaying to the males. Nice big fluffy males here. There's a big male baboon. I would not like to get into a fight with that guy. Catherine, greetings, greetings. I hope that you're not. I hope your snowfall is starting to subside and your weather is not too cold in Germany. We could see the cloud of rain coming in here in Johannesburg today. It was quite petrifying, I must say. It was this dark cloud of gloomy grey sky that just rolled in. So it's pitter patter raining, same as with a lot of our other locations. It's very much appreciated, all this lovely rain. Chickadees baboons, up to no good, as per usual. Sure, there's probably a few baboons sitting up in this tree here, looking out, acting very important. So we got another question coming through from Animal Lover. So yes, baboons do fall into the primate category. So their primates are from the Cephalophidae family and further classified as Papilio. So Papilio is the Chacma baboon, Papilio ursinus. And they are one of the old world monkeys. There are 5 common monkey species in Africa. So it's the olive baboon, yellow baboon, chacma baboon, Guinea baboon, and Hamaradius baboon. So baboons are obviously very sociable animals, known for their social structure, very social behavior and interactions amongst each other. And of course, their home ranges do extend to a lot of different environments. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm just double checking here because these baboons are quite big, a lot bigger than the baboons that I'm used to, the Chacma baboons. So these actually could be the olive baboons here in Kenya. So, sorry, folks, I've got that slightly mistaken. So wondering, these male baboons look quite huge. So these species could be the olive baboons over in Kenya. So Kenya do have 2 baboon species, the olive and the yellow baboon. So the yellow baboon is found on the southern parts of Kenya, partially in areas near the Kenyan coast and Tsavo Game Reserve, whereas the olive baboon is generally found in the Masai Mara, Lake Tuyukana, and also other different areas within the north. Check out these guys. Oh, some family love going on. Oh, lots of love and affection between these 2 young males. So I'm going to go with the olive baboon. These baboons do look very similar to the olive baboon. The yellow baboon, as we said, the distribution, it's slightly out of distribution. And the yellow baboon obviously is a lot taller, bigger in size, and the coloration is very different. whereas these olive baboons are very easily mistaken for chukma baboons. So, yeah, but as we saw with those big males, they're very aggressive. You wouldn't want a pair of baboon teeth sinking into your neck. I can guarantee you that. So it's midday, perfect time for these baboons to come down and have a nice relaxing afternoon at the watering hole. Check out those facial expressions. Mercedes Ben, thank you for joining us today. Yes, these are rather cheeky, naughty baboons today, all up all kinds of nonsense. Yeah, it is very entertaining to watch these baboons. This little one on the left is kind of doing something very strange with his ears. I'm not too sure what he's up to. Again, another big difference between these baboons, the olive baboons and the chukma baboons, is those very thick coats of theirs. The coloration is quite similar, but they're very thick coats, which is quite prominent in this species. Again, could be because of the region that they live within. If they spend a lot of time up in the mountains, I'm sure a lot of our viewers watching in Cape Town know those Cape Town baboons, very thick coats. Yeah, so they look very similar. And I do love those golden brown eyes of theirs. Check out those eyes. This big male baboon on the far left. I don't know if he's holding his lip strange or maybe he has a scar or an injury. That does often happen with baboons. They can injure each other while fighting. Whoop. So an adult male or a big dog baboon like this one on the far left here can weigh anything between about 24 to 30 kilograms. And the females are weighing about 14 to 16 kilograms. So the males, two young males, are having a bit of a fighting session. And of course, it's always good to end up with some nice grooming. So again, grooming is very important in primates. It forms social bonds and helps to form, yeah, the social bonds between members of the group. So good question, Linda. So we have a question from Linda about what is the difference between monkeys and baboons. So obviously quite a big difference between monkeys and baboons, and not just habitats. They have different habitats that they occur in. Baboons are more terrestrial. They hang out on the ground a lot more, whereas monkeys are more arboreal, so they spend a lot more time in the trees. So, like your vervet monkeys are very susceptible to predation on the ground, so they do hang out in the trees more. As you can see here, social grooming and bonding is very important in both monkey and baboon species. So baboons, also the facial structure. So baboons have a lot longer dog-like muzzles, very sharp canines, and baboons obviously are more omnivorous, whereas vervet monkeys are generally herbivores or frugivores. It's very rare to see monkeys actually feeding on. Oh, this is such a cute photo. Isn't this cute? This little guy, you can see his eyes sparkling in the light as he's getting his elbow groomed. Like quite an unusual photo, I must say. Isn't that cute? So yeah, facial structure, bodily structure, diet, habitat, their social organization. So monkeys seem to be in smaller family groups, whereas baboons have quite a prominent hierarchical structure and have very large family groups. The body features as well. So basically, in conclusion, baboons are a specific type of old world monkey which has more distinctive features like terrestrial habitats, short tails, long canine teeth, whereas monkeys are a group of diverse and very varying physical traits. A lot smaller, more arboreal, spend more time up in the trees, and of course, they are more old world or New World monkeys. So you do get Old World and New World monkeys, whereas baboons are only an Old World primate. Whoop. Like some alarm calling of some sort. Like the birds were alarm calling for something. Joanne Mello, thank you for your question as well. So as I mentioned earlier, so a big adult baboon or a male baboon, which is also known as a dog, can weigh anything between about 20 to 30 kilograms, whereas your smaller females are weighing about 14 to 16 kilograms. So you can see obviously the size difference is quite prominent between the males and females. Females are a lot smaller, and those big male baboons need to be very large in order to protect their families. So yeah, even against bigger predators, baboons do hold their own and can chase off your predators like cheetah, caracal, serval. Baboons are not afraid of those predators, whereas monkeys have to be afraid of all of those predators out there. George, thank you for your comment, dear. Yes, this very interesting grooming display does make you believe that these baboons are quite adorable, but yeah, I would not mess with a baboon for sure. Alrighty, well, seeing as our baboons have disappeared, why don't we head across to Tau and see what else is happening at one of our other locations? Lovely to see there's not too much rain here at Tower Game Lodge over in the Peakway. We have a few impala have come down and some zebra, and could be one wildebeest lying on the ground as well. Got some spurwing geese and some Egyptian geese on the left as well. So there's definitely been a lot of rainfall here in the last week since I last saw Tau. Still got those looming, lurking rain clouds that are surely going to bring some more. So the last time we were here at Tau, we had a pretty epic sighting. So we had a sighting of a crocodile that had just killed a little bushbuck. No, sorry, it was a waterbuck. Yeah, it turned out to be. Wasn't sure. It was quite difficult to ID. So we found the crocodile on the bank, and it was quite clever. This crocodile, he actually moved away to the side on the bank on these green reeds in order to get away from any other crocodiles that might be lurking. Tried to steal his kill away from him, but yeah, that was quite an epic sighting, I must say. And we watched this crocodile as he tried to rip pieces off of this waterbuck and flung it from side to side. And yeah, so really epic sighting to see a crocodile kill out of the water. Well, we didn't actually witness the kill itself, but we watched this crocodile feeding off of pieces of this poor little waterbuck. But, yeah, that was pretty epic sighting. Shame I know those crocodiles probably super hungry after a very long period of possibly not eating. Got some activity. We've got some teals here, red-billed teals, our common moorhen, And of course, these impala, possibly a little herd of impala, also coming down to the pan today. I'm dying for all of these pans to fill up with water. I see even at Juma, some of the pans are still struggling to capture a lot of water, so hopefully we'll still experience more rainfalls. Got a few little baby impala here. So one on the far left of the screen. I'm looking to see if there's any more baby impala with us. Oh, we also have a grey heron that's still here. Lovely to see. And all the grass is coming on rather nicely. All this reeds inside the water here. Just having a look. So we've got a zebra over there, and it looks like it's a warthog or a zebra rolling, or something is happening on the far side of the pan there. Far left hand side of the pan. I hope it's just some zebra rolling. We also had a zebra got stuck in the mud. Oops, some warthogs. There we go. I thought it was a zebra stuck.
Cabin. This is the longest, deepest cabin.
It's lovely to see so much activity here today. That's an impala all coming down. The zebra. I thought it was baby zebra stuck in the mud there, but looks like it's just a family of warthogs. So many Egyptian geese. My goodness, look at all these Egyptian geese. And two wildebeest as well. It's like a little animal paradise. Nice to see so many animals out and about. Oh, and there's a tiny little baby zebra as well. So it looks like there was one baby impala so far, which is quite unusual. Oh, there we go. Also in the middle of the screen, just to the left of the baby zebra, and just next to the warthog there. So I don't know. I wonder how many warthogs are. Maybe it's one bull by male warthog by himself, or could it be a few babies? Lovely to see a little baby zebra too. It could be possibly a few weeks old by now, and this two baby impala. There we go. Impalas are also probably just a few weeks old. Let's see how many baby impala we can count here. I'm still only counting two, which is rather strange. Normally, once they start dropping, you get a whole burst of life, and all these impala females start dropping their babies. Maybe there's not enough grass yet, or maybe they're going to be dropping any moment now. And I'm also seeing two more teals in this flock of Egyptian geese. It's quite difficult to identify something in this group of Egyptian geese because there's this flock, there's just Egyptian geese everywhere. It seemed like just before the rains arrived, the Egyptian geese all started congregating here with this planet towel. 2 blacksmith lapwings, and I'm also having a look just off to the right hand side where the zebra is standing. Looks like quite a nice mineral lick or salt area, sodak area, so I'm sure a lot of animals spend time feeding on the salts here. So we got a good question from George. So George is asking if animals in Africa do hibernate. So I'm sure a lot of our viewers know about the bears and how bears have a certain hibernation stage. So yes, animals in southern Africa do undergo a bit of a hibernation stage, or very similar to a more restful topar resting stage, or estivation in some animals it's called. It's just possibly where their bodies and immune systems slow down and just rest and go into a restful state. So this is kind of a period that might be during the cooler or drier months, so like in June, July. It's very cold, very winter periods, and they'll go into a very deep state of their metabolism slows down. Oh, there's our one little warthog with our baby zebra. So yeah, thanks for the question. So good example of some mammals in Africa that do hibernate. Your African hedgehog, which I'm still yet to see an actual hedgehog, but I do know in some urban areas you do get hedgehogs that do live in gardens. So our hedgehogs around get the lesser bush baby, so they do also have a state of lowered metabolic rate. You also get obviously your tortoises, leopard tortoise. They do also hibernate for some periods of the year, but as soon as the rain starts, that's when they start moving around so that they don't get drown or flush out of their holes. Also, a fun fact about tortoises: if you're trying to tell if there's rain coming, if you see a tortoise very rapidly walking up a hill, you know that that tortoise is probably felt that the rain is coming. So for me, that's a very good sign of rain. And a tortoise has never lied to me when it comes to seeing a tortoise moving uphill. You know, in the next 24 hours, the rain is coming. So yeah, very good indicator. Tortoises can obviously feel a lot of the seismic activity under the ground through their bellies. So because they're so close to the ground, they feel all that seismic activity. And then, of course, that is what helps them to pick up when the rain is coming, and they don't want to be stuck in a low-lying area, so they'll often be torpedoing themselves up a hill as quickly as their little legs can take them. So very good indicator. Obviously, you do get bullfrogs that will also dig themselves under the ground, bury themselves in the ground during the very hot months, waiting for the rainfall. Squirrels are also a species that are known to hang out in holes and feed for a specific time of day, time of the year. Alrighty, well, I think it's almost time for vulture feeding over in Victoria Falls at Safari Lodge. So why don't we link across there and wait for the vulture feeding ceremony procession to begin. So it was quite interesting yesterday. We didn't have nearly as many vultures coming down to the vulture restaurant as we normally do. It was, yeah, actually quite a few vultures compared to the normal day of hordes of vultures, loads of vultures coming down. And you can see these vultures. So we've got most of them huddling underneath this, it looks like a tambuti tree. Huddling in the shade. And then we have two hooded vultures. Those mostly white-backed vultures. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8 hooded vultures. So these hooded vultures are a lot smaller, darker in color, bald heads. Normally their face and head color can vary between white to black to pink in some cases, depending on age and sexual maturity. So yeah, because of all the rainfall we've been having around, the vulture restaurant was a little bit empty compared to how it normally is. But we're patiently waiting for the food to come up for the vultures. Nice to see we have a few marabou stalks. They always bring a bit of excitement to the feeding with all the stealing of food that they are normally involved in. So any moment now, they should bring out the food for the vultures. I'm sure they'll all start honing in. Even today, there's not too many vultures around today, but you can see a lot of them are flying in slowly. It's quite interesting. So, a group of vultures that are referred to, like the name, you can refer to a group of vultures when they're all flying together. So, normally that's when they are trying to catch a thermal or thermaling, is known as a kettle, so a kettle or vulture. Or if you find vultures perched in a tree, maybe above a kill or a kill site, this is known as a committee or a venue. So I guess right now this could be known as a committee or a venue of vultures that are all patiently waiting for their lunch. And then once vultures all start feeding at a carcass, so once there's lots of activity and movement, a big congregation of vulture all feeding are known as a wake of vultures. So if they're perched or sitting or patiently waiting, they're known as a committee or a venue. If they're flying up in the sky, vulture group of vultures are known as a kettle. And as soon as they all start feeding and the commotion starts, they are known as a wake of vultures. Rather interesting, all these very creative names that people come up with for groups and congregations of animals and birds. Any moment now. So, Catherine, I do agree with you there. Animals are much better at predicting the weather than we are. For sure, I do agree with you there. So, a lot of these animals, like tortoises we were speaking about earlier, and even elephants, can actually feel a lot of the seismic activity that's happening underground. Oh, looks like one of the vultures had a bit of a crash landing over there. So yeah, they can feel all the seismic activity and they know when the rains are coming. So I do trust animals when it comes to rainfall and predicting rainfall patterns. Like if you're sitting at a pan or a watering hole and all of a sudden, for no good reason, elephants take off in a very hastily manner, generally it could mean that rain is coming. So I also, yeah, would trust that their natural instincts and definitely start packing up whatever you've got set up and move off quickly because you might get caught out in the rain. Sandy Franklin, thanks for joining us again today. We are waiting for the vulture feeding to take place here at Safari Lodge, Victoria Falls. You can see the vultures all coming in and patiently waiting for their lunch. Harriet Hodgen, thank you for joining us as well. And we hope that you are keeping nice and cool in Cape Town. Sorry about your humid, warm weather. I believe it's a dry season in Cape Town at the moment. Running Bear, thank you as well for joining us. Got a lot of viewers coming in, so thank you everyone for joining us. And the CD's been. I'm glad you're also excited about the vulture feeding. I don't know who's more anxious or more excited, the vultures or some of our viewers. It's always entertaining watching these vultures getting fed um, as they fight for food. Obviously, they do have that hierarchical structure we were speaking about yesterday amongst themselves. But yeah, life of a scavenger is not an easy life, so they have to take whatever food they can get. So obviously it's been a little bit dry on Vic Falls. We've got a few more individuals here patiently waiting for their lunch. Alrighty, so we're going to have a bit of a quiet time just as we watch these vultures and the feeding procession take place. So as you're watching, just take note of the interaction and behavior amongst the vultures and how they behave with one another. See a lot of fighting, a lot of scrapping for food, and we'll just enjoy the vulture feeding. Definitely a lot more vultures than yesterday. And this poor guy, he's on his own today and really struggling to keep all these vultures away. Goodness, look at all these vultures that have come down today. My goodness. Running bear, yes, this surely is a vulture feeding frenzy. And wow, chucks a lot more vulture than we had yesterday. Yesterday there's probably under 40, 30, 40 vulture, maybe at most. But today there must be, I would say, close to 100 vultures. If you just take one little section and you count one little section of vulture, you can see there's surely a lot of vulture left here. Obviously, you can see where the food is. There's lots of fighting and scavenging and scurrying around looking for food. So very well adapted, these vultures, for feeding on kills and carcasses. Isn't that crazy sighting? Lovely to see so many vultures out today. So Joanne Mello, thanks for your question. So Joanne Mello said that she was wondering if they are able to tell the time, or how did the vultures know when and what time to come through for the feeding? So no, vultures can't tell the time like us humans can. But again, we were talking a lot about how animals can predict weather through kind of environmental factors. So again, this is how vultures can get an idea of the time of day. So they'll use a lot of thermal currents depending on when the air pressure changes. And this is one method that they can use. Obviously, the position of the sun is a very good kind of time teller. So vultures, some of these vultures will come and wait an hour or even 2 hours before the vulture feeding. You might just pitch up a bit early. Some vultures obviously arrive a bit late because they might have mispredicted the time of the day. A lot of these factors, environmental conditions and factors, position of the sun, can be a very good way for vultures to predict when the feeding is going to take place. So, good question, animal lover. So, yes, the vultures and hyenas, all these scavengers that we have in the natural environment, are very important for keeping and maintaining a clean environment. So vultures and hyenas, jackals, all these little scavengers are very good at waste disposal, and they help to reduce the amount of bacteria, waste, and decomposing flesh and bacteria in the environment. And without vultures and hyenas, there'd be a lot more disease, a lot more animals dying. So they are a very important and crucial part of the animal kingdom. I'm just having a look here. There's one very light colored vulture just on the right hand side of the screen. There's a group of four all sitting together. And on the far left, there's a very white colored vulture. So I don't know if that could be a Cape vulture, or also known as a Cape griffin. The coloration is obviously a lot lighter than the other vultures. These are all white-backed vultures that we're watching today, as well as a few hooded vultures. Two vultures is fighting over there. So you can see when the wings open and they jump towards each other, it's generally a very dominant posture or an aggressive posture. That's when you know these vultures are fighting with one another. Caleb, thanks for your question. So Caleb asked a question about, is the lapid-faced vulture the dominant species of all vultures? So yes, the lapid-faced vulture is one of the more dominant species of vultures in southern Africa. Because they're a lot bigger in size. So their body size is a lot bigger and they're a lot stronger. They've got very thick bills, so they will be a very dominant vulture species at a kill site. Although they don't generally occur in large numbers like these white-backed vultures. So a lapid-faced vulture can be chased off of a kill, or still does need to fight his way to feeding rights at a kill site, because the other vulture species can dominate a lapid-faced vulture because they have more numbers. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm pretty sure this could be a Cape vulture or a griffin vulture here, just on the right hand side. He's just sitting on a bit of a small mopani tree. Yeah, this would be interesting to see a new vulture species, because often we see this, mostly the vultures we're looking at, white-backed and hooded vultures. So cool to see a Cape vulture or Cape griffin vulture today, a new vulture species we haven't seen for a while. And there's still a few individuals fighting over a little bit of food that's left. So Ari, I agree with you there. It's crazy how quickly all of this food disappears. So now some people worry about how this feeding here at the vulture restaurant, if the vultures get overfed. But yeah, you can see how many vultures are here and how quickly that food disappears. Whoop. Some hooded vultures fighting. My goodness. Must have been. Oh, whoop. Someone was not following the dominance hierarchy. It's four hooded vultures that are giving each other a bit of a hard time. A bit more fighting going on the right hand side. It's just turned into Fight Club. Oh, Another fight club taking place just on the right hand side of the screen there. Seems to be a lot of squabbling today. Fighting over the last morsel of food. I hope this is not what some of your family Christmas parties look like, everyone fighting over food. I know food can be a very sensitive topic in some households, and with Christmas time coming, there's a lot of good food to go around, but sometimes, yeah, family politics, you can get fighting and squabbling like this for food amongst humans too. Sandy Franklin, yes, it is an absolute privilege to be able to watch these vultures feeding here. And I would not like to be a carcass that these vultures feed on because, yeah, they do very quickly clean up all of the leftover scraps at a kill site. So they're very good for removing all of these decomposing flesh. Seems to have quietened down a bit. So, of course, as there's less and less food, they'll quieten down, and these vultures will most likely head over to the watering hole for a bit of a drink, digest their food a bit in order to kind of start the kind of digestion process before they can fly off. So they need to lighten the load a bit and drink some water. Sometimes they'll even start sunning themselves, have a bit of a relaxing afternoon before they take off into the thermals again. So we were talking about last week. Actually, there is a culture in the Buddhism world in the Himalayas. It's a community in the Himalayas that have sky burials. So this custom actually involves placing the bodies of the deceased on a mountaintop or in an open area to actually be consumed by vultures. I only learned about that this year, maybe a couple of months ago. I had no idea tradition like this actually existed. Imagine your deceased loved ones putting them out on a mountaintop to be eaten by vultures. But apparently it's a very sacred ritual or known as a sky burial. And with the Buddhism culture, this teaches and emphasizes the importance of the physical body, and this is how they actually believe that the soul leaves the body, and how they make empty vessels in order for the soul to be settled and spirit released into another realm, I guess. But yeah, pretty crazy ritual performed by the Buddhists in the Himalayan mountains, known as a sky burial. I'm not sure if I would like my body to be eaten by vultures when I pass, although giving back to nature is a very nice, thoughtful gesture. Catherine, thank you for your question. So, yes, vulture numbers will increase in areas where there are vulture restaurants. As long as they're safe vulture restaurants, vulture friendly, it can help to give vultures an area where they know is safe to come and feed and eat. Because remember, vultures are mostly all endangered. A lot of them, more fighting going on. The hooded vultures are not happy with each other today. A lot of fighting amongst the hooded vulture community here today. But yeah, these vulture restaurants do provide a safe feeding area for vultures. You have to remember vulture populations are not doing so well. Most of them are either considered as critically endangered or vulnerable species, and it's difficult for them to have areas where they can actually eat food that is safe for them. So a lot of carcasses might be poisoned, and vultures don't know if carcasses are poisoned, so they'll just eat and then eventually get poisoned and die. So where you have these areas that they feed vultures, it's a very good way to help this population, and protect them in a way. Know that is a safe area that they can come and feed. Very interesting to watch the social dynamics of these vultures. They are very intelligent creatures, and very interesting to watch the kind of interactions between different species and the same species interacting with one another. Alrighty, well, it has been an absolute privilege to be able to watch the vulture feeding today at Victoria Falls, but why don't we head across to Rosie's Pan and see what else is waiting for us at some of our other locations. So we have another one of the big five joining us today. So actually our first big five animal of the day. This is a Cape buffalo. Nice to see these buffalo coming down to the watering hole. So it could be two bulls. Oh, I hope they don't disappear already. Possibly two big buffalo bulls hanging out together. They look like they're still in pretty good condition. I'm guessing we caught the tail end of their visit to the pan. Yep, there they go. Sounds like I've got a Diedrich's cuckoo or a Jacobin's cuckoo. I really struggle. Oh, there we go. Oh, it actually looks like a breeding herd of buffalo. There's only two big bulls that we saw, but sometimes what happens is the big buffalo bulls hang out at the back of the herd while following the breeding herd. So it's generally the females that will lead the herd. A buffalo herd can be anything from 10 to a few hundred individuals altogether, and the males will generally follow up from behind, and this can be a very good anti predatory defense mechanism. Looks like they've received quite a decent amount of rainfall here at Rosie's Pan as well. Nice to see it looking so lush and green. I wonder if our hippo friend is still in the pan here. So we had a hippo that was residing in this pan for a few, it must have been over a month or so, which was quite strange because yeah, it's not a very big pan, lots of activity, lots of elephants. If a buffalo herd comes through here, they take over the whole pan in minutes. So I was surprised that this hippo was so happily living in this pan. What else is out there? Let's have a look. So it's good to check the water's edge, see if you can find any little terrapins or maybe three-banded plovers, any water birds. Does look pretty loomy. I'm sure there's going to be some rainfall sometime soon. And we had a pretty epic sighting here last week as well of a wattled starling, two male wattled starling in very good condition, in full breeding plumage with their yellow, black and yellow colorations on their head and those bright yellow wattles. Very, very cool. But yeah, those clouds look a bit ominous. Some little dwarf mongoose. I think they have a little den somewhere close by that will come and hang out Yeah, near Rosie's pan. Sometimes if we're lucky, they come down for a drink. Having a scan, having a look, see if there's any other birds, anything else out there. I think that's probably been my birding highlight for the last 2 weeks is that two male wattled starling. That was pretty epic to see that. And of course, my favorite mammal sighting or sighting from the live at the waterhole was definitely that crocodile kill. Watching that crocodile trying to rip apart that water buck was quite entertaining. Not if you have a sensitive stomach, though. What else is out there today? So it's a bit rainy at some of our locations, so we're just going to keep an eye out and see what else is out there. But I know with all this rain, it does tend to sometimes chase away some of the wildlife. All right, well, let's head back to Tower Lodge and see if all of our activities are still taking place with all the animals that we left over at Tower Lodge earlier. Wow, so we were over at Tau earlier and we had loads of Egyptian geese, lots of impala, some zebra, and a warthog that came down for a wallow. Looks like our Egyptian geese have moved off a bit. They're probably feeding on some of the green vegetation on some of the islands. But nice to see a wildebeest herd coming down and a nice big male impala, as well as some female impalas also. Well, there's our Egyptian geese. Also looks like there's a bit of politics in the Egyptian goose realm. They are very territorial species, Egyptian geese. Not fond of sharing their territorial space. So with so many Egyptian geese around at the moment, I'm not surprised there's a bit of politics. So saw two little baby impala and a little zebra foal. Very cool. The wildebeest seem to be all full of beans and energy. I wonder where our crocodiles have disappeared to. Shame. I hope there's more water for them. It's very difficult for the crocodiles to hunt in this muddy, murky water at the moment. It's very sticky, very muddy, so it makes hunting very difficult. We also saw an almost kill where a crocodile, what was this about? Maybe 10 days ago, where a crocodile tried to kill a wildebeest as well, and we managed to change over just in time to catch the crocodile with his mouth wrapped around his strong jaws, wrapped around the poor wildebeest's snout. But unfortunately, because the water level is so low, the crocodile could not manage to drag the wildebeest into the water deep enough to drown the wildebeest. So the wildebeest managed to live another day. So lovely and green all of a sudden. Lovely to see the green grass popping up and a bit of greenery in the tree line there. We also have some spurwing geese that look like they are feeding, looking for some food, and also some moorhens, white-faced whistling ducks, Egyptian goose, and is that a yellow-billed duck? We've got a little grey heron here. He's quite consistent, I must say. He's generally tends to be around this pan, so quite resident. Giving himself a bit of a groom. Don't see him feeding too much. Maybe he had some luck. So with all these little puddles and drying out water holes, it can make feeding for the birds a lot easier. Where are the crocodiles? I'm not seeing any crocodiles anywhere. Normally with this long grass, they can be very easily hiding in the thick grass or in these little muddy estuaries, little muddy streams in between these two pans. Oh, two Egyptian geese also at each other's necks. Could be two males fighting. Have a look here, folks. It's a territorial display. Probably two male Egyptian geese on the left-hand side there going at each other. Caleb, thanks for your question. So yes, Caleb, I have encountered a few angry buffalo on foot before. It's not the most exciting thing to encounter. I must. Oh, there are two male Egyptian geese are fighting. They do fight in a similar way to those vultures that we saw fighting earlier. Let's have watch out, see what's going to happen there. So open up their wings and they go straight in for the jugular. So yeah, buffalo bulls, not the most entertaining thing to, not the most exciting thing to encounter on foot, especially if they're not in a very good mood. So yeah, breeding herds are a lot safer. The only chance of danger you have with a breeding herd is if they get frightened by another direction and they stampede towards you. But generally, breeding herds are a lot safer to encounter on foot. And buffalo bulls, you definitely do have to be very cautious while encountering them on foot. They can be quite grumpy or miserable. They're on their own. They're bachelors. Shame you can't really blame them. But yeah, they do like their personal space. So not to be messed with. One of the creatures in Africa, or mammals in Africa, that does kill a lot of people in the bush is the buffalo. I know there's a little zebra suckling right in the center of the screen here. So last year, between South Africa and Zimbabwe, there were quite a lot of deaths due to buffaloes. Yeah, they're very, very aggressive. I think most of the deaths that I know of were hunting or hunter related. So that does happen. But yeah, a lot of deaths due to buffalo. They are known as the black ghosts of the bush. But in the same sentence, I do know some people that have actually been saved by buffaloes. So there's quite a few stories of people who've gotten injured in the bush, and a herd of buffalo came and surrounded them at night and warded off predators. So, yeah, the breeding herds can actually, yeah, I don't know, it's a weird sixth sense that they have. It's the same as, when you get to ocean life, whales and dolphins, that when they feel threatened, they come towards humans for safety and for help. Buffaloes can also have the same form of compassion, but those buffalo bulls. What do we have here? Let's have a look. The zebra. They're all watching this female. She's feeding her little ones, a little baby zebra there. Oh my goodness. doesn't it just make your heart fuzzy inside? So there's actually two babies. This looks like a new one that's just come in, so it could be a different herd altogether. The harem of zebra generally has one male, and one male can have anything between 3 to 6 females. But the more females he has, the harder it is for a male zebra to protect those ladies. Sandy Franklin, I agree with you there. It surely does look like, Tau does look like the moon when it is dry. So during the dry season, it does look very desolate, very barren and dry. But yeah, it's really nice to see some of this green vegetation popping up, some food for the animals, and yeah, to see this nice herd of harem of zebra coming down for a drink at the waterhole. See the females generally in the front here, and I think the stallion is probably this one at the back. Yep, there we go. So again, same as very similar to buffalo, zebra stallions will often be at the back of their harem or often on the side. So they do like to separate themselves a little bit from the rest of the harem or herd, and this can also be an anti-predatory defense mechanism to protect the herd. Oh, look at those two baby zebras. They look a similar age. Twins in zebra is very, very rare. So it's actually more rare than in elephants. So it's very rare for a female zebra to have twins. But yeah, very cool to see these two little ones. Often the two females in a harem or a herd might have foals at the same time. It's quite good because they can have a lot of interaction and playing time with one another. But yeah, zebra generally don't have a set birthing period. Gestation period of a zebra is very similar to that of a horse, 360 to 365 days. Oh, look at this little zebra checking out the wildebeest. He's like, what on earth is that? Not surprised. They do look quite funny, don't they? One of the ugly five. I think it's those beady little eyes of theirs, the wildebeest. You can't see their eyes very well, so they just have this like carpet-like mat on the front of their face, matted fur. And you can't see those eyes too clearly. Ooh, and this looks like, oh my goodness, could be a very pregnant female or just a very fat male. So a good way to tell the difference between male and female zebra is often, oh yeah, it's definitely a female. She's rather round. So your males often have more flat backs. The females, obviously, from the birthing process and carrying those very heavy bellies of theirs, do tend to have a bit more of an arched, rounded back. So you can see this pregnant female on the left, as opposed to the stallion on the back. So you can actually see the difference here. It's quite pronounced. The arcing of the back. Males, again, just like with giraffe, are very thick and very stocky in the neck and shoulders, very much like a stallion horse. You can see that thickness in the shoulders and neck. And often their females have a very thick G-string stripe down the back of their legs there. So that wider black thick stripe does indicate it's a female, whereas the males have a very thin stripe between their legs. And a good indicator is also the female's very prominent round bellies when they are pregnant. And looks like we have another herd of wildebeest that's come back to join us. It's lovely to see such a wide species diversity here today. We've got loads of water birds and waterfowls, impala, wildebeest, zebra, and of course we had our warthog earlier. And these little baby zebra are melting my heart. Alrighty, why don't we head across to Juma, see what's waiting for us at Gowrie Dam. Yeah, very cute. There's a little terrapin hanging on the edge of the waterhole here, and two blacksmith weapons. And it looks like it's very windy at Juma as well today. Might be bringing in some more rainfall. Shame, I know they've been struggling with the rains at Juma and on the live drive, so I hope they do have a dry afternoon. I know this time of the year is always quite difficult with all the rains around. So wishing them all the best. I'm going to be heading to Mabulla in a couple of days, so looking forward to being back on the live drives. I'll be on the Mabulla live drives in the afternoon, but I definitely am going to take a lot of dry bags with me, I must say. All this rain, shame. I know Cedric is not a fan of the rain, so I hope he has his Darth Vader coat of doom to protect him from all the rain. Oh, it looks like this blacksmith is digging around in an elephant dung. Could be looking for some grubs or insects. Terrapin is enjoying sunning himself at this water's edge. Also here the possibly masked weavers that are vocalizing in the background. I was enjoying the sound of those weavers vocalizing it in the background. Also here a lot of insects. So this time of the year there's a boom of insects as well. Lots of insects for all the birds and animals to feed on. Oh, we also have some. Oh, the Egyptian geese with their little goslings have come to join us as well. Looks like we've just got 3 little Egyptian geese left. I must actually check. Yesterday we also had some Egyptian geese at one of the other pans, which is really cool watching them. Oh, aren't they such cute little balls of fluff? Oh, these little Egyptian geese are so cute. So unfortunately, they do have a lot of predators out there, and I think it was here at Juma on Gowrie Dam where there was a bird of prey that did take some of their little goslings. So these parents do have a very big job to protect these little creatures. So the male and female Egyptian geese do both share parental responsibilities, and they do work very hard to protect their young ones. They're very territorial, very aggressive as well, and yeah, they can have anything between 8 to 10 little goslings. But yeah, generally, if 2 or 3 of them survive, that's quite a successful year because yeah, a lot of creatures out there would love to eat these little furry feathered friends. All right, so let's head back across to Rosie's Pan. It's getting quite windy here at Juma, so let's go see what's happening at Rosie's Pan. Oop, we've got looks like a weaver of some sort, and yeah, Cape Glossy Starling just hanging out on this nice rubbing post. This is a lovely elephant rubbing post here, or warthog rubbing post. Perfect little spot for dealing with those itches and scratches that our creatures do struggle with. Also, the parasites. Those ticks do get rather itchy. We had some buffalo here earlier. I was hoping the buffalo would come back. Oh, there's a little waxbill, blue waxbill. Only hang out in little flocks. He's also very nervous, very skeptical. Yeah, just like giraffe, they have to be quite wary when coming down to a watering hole to drink because it does make them very vulnerable. Perfect place and time for something like a shikra or a sparrowhawk to swoop down and um, capture a little wax ball like this. Here's some hoopoes in the background, also vocalizing, very happy and melodious. What other bird do we have? We've got another little bird. Oh, could be a few little wax balls. So it's normally common for wax balls to hang out in family groups, so little flocks of wax balls. They're very delicate and dainty in the way they make their nests, so they'll generally create these very bushy or thick nests. Oh, we've got a laughing dove as well. They'll usually make them a nest in a thorny tree or acacias or knob thorns of some sort to protect their nests from bigger birds of prey. Sandy Franklin, so everything, a lot of predators for little birds of little geese like those Egyptian geese. So Sandy Franklin's asking what would eat a baby goose. So there's a lot of predators for a baby goose. Bigger birds of prey, smaller birds of prey. When before the eggs hatch, monitor lizards are also quite well known for raiding nests. So they do raid nests and eat eggs. So yeah, a lot of big predators out there for those little Egyptian goslings. Little praying that they all survive the year. It's a little, also could be a juvenile common waxbill, and our little laughing dove also just feeding. The laughing doves mostly feed on seeds, so you can see that's what they're only roaming around feeding on little seeds. Generally solitary, but you do get males and females at the same time. So it's one of the smaller of the dove species. The only species that's smaller are the emerald spotted dove and the namakwa dove. So it's kind of, yeah, I'd say this one of the third smallest dove species that we get in southern Africa, or common dove species that we get in southern Africa. Oh, the little wax bills are coming to have a bath. Perfect time, middle of the day, to have a bath when it's very hot. So birds will often come down and bath in the middle of the day. So these are a water dependent species, so they do need to drink a couple of times a day, these little waxbills. You can hear Class's cuckoo calling. Oh, these waxbills are adorable. So yeah, Shikra. All right, so let's head over to Nkoro Dam and see what's happening there. There we go. Found some big elephant bulls here. Number 2 on our list of big 5 animals for the day. And this is actually where we also had the little Egyptian geese and their goslings yesterday. So we'll keep an eye. Maybe they're still there. These two big bulls obviously fighting for drinking rights at this watering hole. There's the main outlet. It's just on the left-hand side of the pan here. Of course, elephants would much rather drink fresh water than dirty, murky water in a pan. These two bulls will have a bit of a dominance display between each other. Let's just listen to these elephants as they mumble and grumble and see what happens between these two big bulls. Yeah, them sucking and slurping that water. You can see this bigger, more dominant bull on the left has obviously got priority and preference over this feeding or drinking spot. And this other big elephant bull on the right is acting very awkward and strange at this moment. Maybe he's trying to suck up to the big bull. So he's definitely a lot less dominant and obviously doesn't have any preference over this main drinking spot. So this big bull on the left is kind of just soaking up and relishing in his golden years of being a big dominant elephant bull. And this other bull on the right looks a little bit miserable because he has to suck up to the bigger boy. Oop. Now the big bull has left, and then this younger bull can come in for a drink. So yeah, dominance is very important amongst elephants. That's why you do see big bulls fighting quite often for dominance. Right, so we're having a bit of a scan to see if we can find a little Egyptian goose family that was here yesterday. We've got some blacksmith lapwings. We also have a spot that looks like elephants were splashing and spraying themselves. But I'm not seeing our family of Egyptian geese that we had here yesterday, but near the end of the show I did see them disappearing off to the left, so they could have been waddling around to go and look for another watering hole. Hope that they made it to their final destination. Maybe walk down this path. Maybe they were going to the main pan in front of the lodge. Maybe they're hanging out somewhere. See, what is out there? We're just having a scan. Maybe the Egyptian geese aren't there somewhere. Lovely grass. Well, yeah, I won't be surprised if they walked off to find a better spot. In the meantime, we've still got our elephant bulls enjoying the watering hole. Just enjoying this beautiful scenery. Lovely to have. There's impala coming down for a drink. And looking for our Egyptian geese. Two young male impala here. Two young bulls. Could be about 2 years of age. Looking at the, judging by the shape of their horns. And this elephant is still enjoying himself with all this water. And it's quite interesting watching the dominance displays at watering holes with elephant bulls. And it's not always, we sometimes, while sitting at pans, we've often sat there and you have bets with the bulls coming in, bigger bulls arriving at a pan, and you kind of or put your money on who you think is going to be more dominant and chase the other elephant away. And sometimes you'll be surprised. Sometimes the younger bulls who actually have more pull and more hierarchy and dominance over the older bulls, just due to their size, or yeah, it could be the older bulls might no longer be strong enough to defend themselves against these young elephant bulls. I've even seen in some cases elephants that have big, tall elephant bulls that have actually got such long tusks that their tusks crisscross in front of their trunk there. And that was crazy. This big elephant bull, he was a forest elephant, arrived at this pan. It was at night while we were filming a documentary, and I was very surprised. He was probably one of the biggest elephants I've ever seen. And when he arrived at the watering hole, because he could not use his tusks to defend himself and was older, he actually was less dominant and was chased away by younger, smaller elephant bulls because of his tusks. So when elephants have tusks that actually crisscross in the front of them there, I mean, imagine this elephant. His tusks were so long they were almost touching the ground when he walked. He had to lift his head up. And again, if they're crisscrossing in front, there's no way you can use those tusks as a form of a defense. So you want to have those short, stubby, sharp tusks pointing forwards so that when you fight with another elephant bull, you've got quite a good defense mechanism and very dangerous weapons. Whereas if you have these long tusks that crisscross, it doesn't make for a very good weapon. Right, so it's a bit windy over in Juma, but I believe we have some elephants that have just popped up. So let's go check out those elephants over at Gowrie Dam in Juma. Oh dear, so it looks like our Egyptian geese family probably had to quickly vacate the watering hole, and our terrapin has probably plunged away under the water, allowing this family of elephants to come for a drink. I know Gowrie Dam is taking quite some time to fill up with water. I know Cedric yesterday was at Treehouse Dam, and yeah, still looks like the water levels are very, very low. Possibly why these elephants have come to drink at this small pan here. Always good to have another alternative means of feeding for these, drinking for these elephants. Years do Years do take a while for the watering holes to fill up. Oh, there's our little Egyptian geese family. And they probably had to vacate rather quickly. This is mostly cows here, female elephants and their offspring. There's 3 sub-adults and 3 big adult females. Looks rather windy. I hope it doesn't blow in some rain for the sunset safari. It's quite difficult doing game drives in rainy, cold weather. There's no such thing as bad gear, bad weather, only bad gear. So as long as you're ready and prepared for any bad weather, sure, it's very much a battle of the minds. I think it's always great to be out there. Sometimes you have great sightings just before the rains or just after the rains. You just have to handle the rainy part, which is difficult. Something has disturbed them a bit. See their heads up because of body language, a bit uncomfortable, maybe Another herd of elephants coming in. Maybe they can sense the rain, as we spoke about earlier. Elephants are very good at picking up and detecting when rain is about to fall. Oh, there's more elephants. Check at all these elephants. We did have last week 3 big buffalo bulls that came and had a nice mud bath, mud wallow in the remaining muddy puddles in Gari Dam. It's amazing to think how quickly and how much that dam has dropped in water levels. When I was there in January, it was quite a substantial dam, nice water level. Now there's not much water at the moment. We've still got our blacksmith lapwings. Just having a scan that there's nothing else at the side of the pan here. You can see these females are dripping that liquid from their temporal glands, so you can get an indication sign of a bit of stress. So it could be maybe smell of some lions lurking around that could have given them a bit of a fright. And the Egyptian geese are feeding on some grass seeds. It's a good opportunity for them to go and feed while the elephants are busy at the watering hole. Primary diet of Egyptian geese is normally grass seeds, and from time to time they do feed on some aquatic vegetation, but they are mostly herbivores, so they only feed on a very limited diet. Oh, isn't this just such a blessing to be able to watch these incredible creatures so close up? Sanjeev Roy, I agree with you there. Nice. Such a privilege to watch these elephants having their afternoon tea break. Which reminds me, I was dying for a cup of tea and Christmas cake. I think these elephants would be very fond of Christmas cake, I must say. Although that sweet fruity smell and flavour, I wouldn't be surprised. So Sanjeev Roy, yes, it was very interesting. So this breeding herd was actually here earlier, and again they picked up on a smell of something. I think there's possibly some predators in the area, maybe lions, and even without any, we didn't hear any vocalizations, but as soon as that matriarch picked up on the smell, her head was up, and it's almost like she herded the whole family group away from this watering hole, and controlled them with it's infrasound communication that should be communicating amongst each other. So elephants, even though we feel like they're silent, they are constantly communicating with each other. And that's how they're able to feed in such big areas and such wide distances apart, is because they're constantly communicating with one another through infrasound and the seismic communication that they get through their feet. So they're always communicating with each other. Oh, look at this little one. I think he's still trying to figure out how to work that incredibly um, flexible trunk of his. So an elephant's trunk can have anything between 30 to 40,000 muscles inside the trunks, and it does take quite a few months for them to be able to use their trunks fully, anything between 4 to 6 months. So the first couple of months, it's quite entertaining to watch baby elephants using their trunks. They can't quite suck. They don't really know how the muscles work. And so this guy looks like he's still figuring out, how does this strange thing on the end of my face work? isn't this just adorable? So you can see with the way the light is shining off of the back of this elephant here, the hair. So you can actually see there's very fine particle filaments of hair on the back of this elephant's back here, and especially on the trunk, around the face and the ears. So just as with us humans, hairs are very important in all creatures. So one, just like we watch with that elephant ear here, you can see around the opening of the ear a lot of hair. So that hairs actually help to one, protect insects or creatures from going inside openings, just like the eyes. Look at these beautiful long eyelashes. But two, also help with sensitivity and feeling. So yeah, with some creatures, just like we spoke about yesterday with like hippos and their whiskers and how they use the whiskers to help with feeling and communication underwater. Same with elephants, are very good, very important to protect their sensitive areas and any movement upon their skin. So the older the elephants get, the less hairs they do have on their body, but they still have a few hairs. But when they're babies, they're born with a lot more fluff and almost like a little bit of a fur layer. And the older they get, the less hairs they get. But very cute to see these elephants so close up. Look at those little tusks. So this youngster, this elephant, is probably going on about 2 years old. So the tusks normally start erupting anything between a year and a half to 2 years. The little tusks start erupting. Obviously, it does vary from individual to individual, um, uh, depending on genetics and if they've developed well and got enough food. So yeah, you can use the tusks to actually age elephants. See, this female on the left-hand side has two very differently shaped tusks or length tusks. She probably broke one tusk at some stage, and that's why the one tusk is a lot shorter. They do break their tusks from time to time while feeding or fighting. Even while digging for minerals, they can break their tusks. It's not painful for them. It's like when you break a nail, but same as when you break a nail, if you break it too short, it can be very painful. So if the elephants break their tusks, that's too close into the jaw there, it can be excruciatingly painful. Just having a scan to see what else is out there today. Any more birds? Maybe some nyala. Anything lying under the trees? It's nice to see that these elephants have calmed down and settled down a little bit because they were a bit nervous earlier. You can see their trunks moving quite a bit. They're very curious, giving a bit of a sniff, a bit of a smell. Maybe they're checking out the new camera. They're very inquisitive and curious creatures. They have a very keen sense of smell and hearing with those giant big ears of theirs and that long trunk. It's incredible to think that elephants are still alive in this day and age with those long trunks, but again, it's all adaptations in order to survive in their natural environment and feed on the food that they need to feed on. See, still looks like there's not too much water in the dam yet. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the water will fill up. Lovely grass, and you can see it all blowing in the wind. I hope this wind isn't blowing some rain. So Looks like there are some blue skies. Fingers crossed for the sunset safari. Hopefully these elephants will still hang around. That could be a nice place to start off with the sunset safari this afternoon. Again, look like two separate family groups. So one family group has obviously moved off, and you get the older rank. In windy weather like this, it's quite cool. In the open areas, you sometimes won't find a lot of antelope, and if you do, when it's very windy, then they'll often be lying down, like wildebeest and place bark. They don't have much patience and tolerance for heavy wind like this. They'll often be all lying down, huddling together. Looks like they're really enjoying this water, even though they're not drinking much. And you can see the nice rounded shapes of this. I think this is probably the matriarch in the middle. Check out her very big rounded forehead there. Very prominent of a female elephant. You can see it's rounded but a bit pointy at the tops. The males or big bulls are generally flat. The females generally have a little bit of a pointy edge to the center of the forehead, whereas the males are very rounded. And again, the tusks. So males are known for having much thicker tusks than females, but you do get males with thin tusks as well. It's possibly bad genes or genetics, but generally the tusks are another good indicator. Again, the stomach, often just like with the zebra we spoke about earlier, how you can see the bulging bellies of those pregnant female zebra. Same with elephants. You can also see the bulging stomachs of the female elephants as well. And looks like our elephants are also done heading off, after enjoying a lovely drink at the little pan and waterhole. Here the elephants rumbling. Alrighty, let's head over to Lentore and see what else we've got waiting for us. So we had some pretty cool, and there was some cool birds here. But of course, they must have known we were onto them and taken off with haste. Here we will see some other birds coming in. We also had some cool sightings of some squirrels, some ground squirrels here yesterday, a pair that were also mating. So love surely has been in the air at this location. Maybe if we're lucky, I'll have a bit of patience. We'll see our squirrels coming. What else is out there? Maybe we'll get some new cool bird lifers. Ventura does have quite an interesting bird density, so let's just be patient, see what we can find. Right, I'm not sure if we're going to get much activity here, so why don't we head across to Stony Point and see what's waiting for us in Cape Town. We had a lot of cormorants yesterday. We saw a few penguins, but there were a lot of Cape cormorants yesterday. So we'll have a scan for our cormorants, see if any hyraxes are out and about. Whoop! Hey, I see a foot. Maybe if we're lucky, this is our female hyrax with her little pups. Hiding in the rocks there. You barely see them, they blend in so well. Incredible coat, specially designed to blend into the rocks, hide them from any suspecting predators or lurking predators that might be flying overhead. I think there's seems like not too much activity on the hyrax front, but yeah, it's been really cool to be able to see these hyraxes with the little pups. There's one female with 3 pups. Generally, you can have anything between 1 to 3 little pups. Well, I think we've got some activity. Do we have some penguins, maybe? Some white-breasted cormorants? Some Cape cormorants? Oh, there's a little penguin just came out of the water. Oh, Cape Town. I believe it's very warm in Cape Town at the moment. So, shame. I hope all of our viewers that might be in Cape Town, I hope you're not too hot in that very hot, humid weather in Cape Town. I must say, Cape Town is very disorientating when it comes to the weather. You can have 5 seasons in a day. So you leave with a pair of shorts and 500 jackets. Keep yourself warm in that weather. We also have some hot blood gulls. Just also having a bit of a morning, afternoon scratch sunning session. It wasn't as many Cape cormorants as yesterday. Yesterday we had must have been about 20, 25 cormorants here. The Cape cormorants right, a white-breasted cormorant on the left hand side there. Whoop, a little swimming party coming in. Well, looking at all the cormorants they are often coming in from the fishing escapades. Very, very modified, especially modified birds for plunging and diving in the ocean. And I see on the beach they've got a lot of Egyptian geese hanging out on the beach as well. I'm not sure if I'm seeing, might be some penguins. It can be quite hard to see um, what's happening on the beach. Lots of kelp washes ashore on the beach in Cape Town, so it can be difficult to identify, but really cool to see these little African penguins. Check out those very cute little, especially modified flipper wings. Do perfect habitat for these penguins. They do love these rocky shores. You can have very close access to the ocean and getting to their food source. And I do love the black and white colorations of these penguins. They look like they're wearing little tuxedo suits. Obviously, because they feed on fish, they are omnivores. They mainly feed on fish, but they also feed on anchovies, sardines, as well as schooling fish, squid, and krill. And dive up to depths of 120 to 130 meters. Well, there's some more penguins on the beach. See how well they blend in with the kelp on the ocean. Sandy, Franklin, I hope you have a lovely day as well. Thank you for joining us on the show. And I'm just going to say thank you to all of our viewers, wishing you a happy holidays, and we will be seeing you shortly in Mabula from me and the rest of the Wild Earth crew. A big thank you for supporting and watching live at the waterhole. Don't forget to tune in to the sunset safaris coming up next. Gonna give us a bit of a moment of silence to just enjoy the ocean waves here in Cape Town. And for me, that will be all. Have a lovely festive season and see you soon.